Hello, this is Hayden from FowlsOnFantasy.com, and today we are going to be looking at Blender's Array Modifier. After selecting your chosen object, in this case I'm choosing a cylinder, go to the Modifier tab. From the Generate list, press Array. You should now see this window in your modifier area. Let's go over it. You can specify the number of generated copies of your object using the slider Count. The distance between each object is controlled by the relative and constant offset. Using these controls, you can offset your object in X, Y, and Z space. A relative value of 1 will mean that each generated object will be touching the other's bounding box. But please note that if your relative value is higher than 1, it will result in a gap that is relative to your object size. Here's an example of two of the same scaled objects. One of them is using purely a relative offset, and the other is using a relative offset with a value of 1, which means that its bounding box is touching, but then it's also using a constant offset of 2 meters, so the objects will always be 2 meters apart, regardless of the object scale. Here's an example of that in motion. As you can see, the objects are always 2 units apart, no matter of their scale. A little known feature of the array modifier is the object offset. You can do this by creating an empty and checking the object offset and then applying that empty to it. You can then use the empty to control the offset of your object relative to the others. But this also lets you rotate the empty. If you rotate the empty, you can create a circular or helix pattern. This is an incredibly useful tool. You can make some really funky patterns with it. In order to demonstrate the next feature, I'm going to turn my array into an almost torus-like shape. We can merge each of these shapes by selecting the Merge checkbox and then increasing the distance until our objects merge. If we wish for our end caps to be merged together to create one full shape, all that we will have to do is select the first last checkbox. As you can see, the end caps have now been merged. The next feature I want to show you is the start cap and end cap. What this allows us to do is to use a separate object to cap our array. I'm going to use this sphere as an example. As you can see, it has applied the sphere to the caps, and because I'm using the merge feature, it is merging the sphere to the cylinders. Using all of these tools in our workflow can help us create some really unique and interesting objects that otherwise would have been very difficult to hand model. And that wraps up our look on the array modifier. I hope you have learned something new. If you have, please give this video a like, and if you've enjoyed what you've seen, please consider subscribing. If you have a question or query about anything, please feel free to ask me and I'll try and get back to you as quickly as possible. Thank you very much. This is Hayden from FowlsOnFantasy.com signing off.